On today's episode of Bubs and T-Bag.
It's all work and no play for the boys.
You think I want Mark Zuckerberg up my fucking financial a-hole looking into every single thing that I do in life?
Well, I don't think that's it.
Bubs fills us in about his recent hunting trip with Alec Baldwin.
You see somebody wearing white sunglasses with spiked hair and remnants of a mullet or a shaved head.
An interaction is about to occur and it's about to be negative.
It will be negative. You want to get in a fight, wear white sunglasses and act like a douche.
T-Bag goes off the grid and takes a vow of silence to fight the influx of pumpkin spice flavored basic bitches.
In order to participate, I need to be gay and I need to drink Bud Light.
All this and the continuing story of Bungalow Bubs coming up.
Ja, 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 uns 13 ja, und Gesundheiten ja mit Trampolinen.
What was that, Oktoberfest?
Who is that German guy?
What do you got going on?
Get him the fuck out of here. We're Americans here, sir. I don't know.
Have you been drinking our sponsor's beer?
Absolutely not. No, this is Sober September. You know that.
Yeah.
And I've only cheated about 4, maybe 6 times, whereas you are a stallion. You still no beers this month, huh?
No beer, no whiskey, nothing.
I've had a couple. Last night I had 2 beers at my dart league.
Did you have a Blumpkin Oktoberfest from our favorite brewery?
No, I had...
it's got a cock aftertaste.
What the fuck was it? Grain Belt Northeast.
Oh,
That's what I had. I had 2 bottles of that. My partner, quite a beer connoisseur. I couldn't go solo. You know what I mean? I had to have a couple.
Sure.
Keep in with the crowd. She likes her beer, and, you know, it was peer pressure, Bubs. What can I say?
Well, if it's game day and you got to make those decisions to move forward in your endeavors.
I've never played in a dart league before. This is new to me.
Yeah, it's dart league is a lot different than cornhole, where cornhole is a little more relaxed. I mean, you get a few a-holes out there that are trying to be super serious and measuring things down to the minute. But I played darts back in the early 90s at a bar called Gabby's with a couple friends. And
classy joint.
It was back then.
Marshall Street Northeast, baby.
Yep. That was the rules were tight, and people would get very worked up.
I noticed.
There's
it's
competition
a very precise,
in the air. It's
very precise game, and they take it seriously.
Very seriously.
The diehards.
Yeah. There's no drunken buffoonery in which I probably partook in, and even my younger friends back then.
My team, Team Magnum, it's called. We take the buffoonery a bit seriously. You know, we have some buffoonery, and so far we're 0-2, and probably going to stay there. So,
I had a sweet set of darts that were hot pink that said "Dart Bitch" on the flights.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I don't know where they went. They're gone.
This girl has the exact same darts.
Well, she's a hot dart bitch then, just
she
like
is.
I was.
Yeah. Hats off to the dart bee. Let me say that.
Here's a little side dart hustle.
Did you really have those darts, Bubs?
Yes.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got them from a woman from Texarkana.
No kidding.
Yes.
Such a coincidence because we were both ordering darts recently for the league, and those are the ones she picked.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're timeless.
They're pretty quality too, actually.
Yeah, they were heavy.
Yep.
Nice weight, and then you could just slice them through the air, but I wasn't that good. Plus, I was doing other things.
Excuse me while I move that cord.
Didn't care about darts. But yeah. I got hustled by darts in a dart game a couple years ago. I had a 16, 17-year-old son, my oldest son at the time. We were up at my land. There was a kind of a joint down the street or a couple miles away called the Thirsty Moose. And they got wings and burgers and beer there. They don't have any hard liquor. And I had worked the boys hard, all 3 of them, very hard, like rented mules.
Yeah.
And
prepping the land.
Prepping the land for the hunt. And it was probably in September, so it was a little hot, a little warmer. And I had gone in and ordered a very tall 22-ouncer of beer, and it was very, whatever. And so I get up to go use the restroom, and I come back, and there's a tin of Copenhagen at my spot. And I sit down, and I go, what the fuck is this? And then the youngest kid goes, well, Grant ordered you a tin for himself. I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty slick. All right. I said, hey, Honcho, that's fucking $10.
Yeah, well, they're not cheap.
Well, back then it was probably 7 something. I go, but it's $10. You're going to pay me $10 for that. And then he looks at me and goes, well, how about a game of darts? And it's just the plastic shitty darts at the bar. And we're like, all right. So we ate, drank a few beers. I did. Got up and played the boy in darts, and the very last dart, he hit a bullseye to close it out and beat me. So I bought him a 10.
He had that planned all the way up there.
Probably.
Bet,
he hustled the shit out of me.
He probably thought to himself, I got no dip.
Yeah. Or he used it all up.
When I get a moment, I'm going to order a dip on Dad's dime.
Yeah. Fucker.
And then I'm going to crush his ass at cricket.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did.
Might have been, what is the one, 501?
501.
Yeah, might have been that.
In our league, it basically goes, there's 7 games in like an evening, match. And the machine keeps track of everything, including, how much money is in there and your name and everything. It's very automated. But first 2 games are some sort of a 501. Then it goes to 2 games of cricket. I'm sorry, the first 2 games are cricket, then 2 games of 501, then 2 more games of cricket, and then a final game of 701. Cricket is tough for me, hitting those exact ones.
Yeah.
And the guys
is that the ones where you got to hit the doubles, the triples?
Yeah, you got to get 3, 20s, 19s, 18s.
So that, we played cricket then. Yeah, that's what it was.
The guys we were playing last night, they were accurate.
Yeah.
More accurate
Snipers.
than us. Yep, a little bit.
Force multipliers.
We did win. We won 2 games, though. That's pretty good. So, hats off to Team Magnum for that.
Team Magnum. Kind of depressed on your name. You didn't go full force.
No. I don't know. I'm not even sure how we arrived at Team Magnum. I think it had something to do with the Magnum PI shirt or something like that. But
right.
Either way, we're looking to improve. I'm going to play again next year, though. I like darts. I played in a pool league once. I like the dart league a little bit better.
Well, I'm looking at your studio here. You could set up, and practice the fuck out of it and become a fucking sniper.
Yeah, I could. And maybe we'll do that one day once. If anyone has a dart machine that's of good to high quality that they'd like to donate to the Ponderosa studio, we will accept it at this point. Send us some DMs on either YouTube, X, or Spotify. We are on shows on Spotify now, Bubs. I don't know if you've told all your cohorts, but we have officially arrived. The episodes are now on Spotify, so everyone can listen on the largest streaming audio platform in the world.
Good. Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, the studio could use a few more items.
Speaking of that, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned what I'm wearing today.
Well, I was going to acknowledge all these things. We have a few things to acknowledge here in the studio right now. First and foremost, Bubs came in wearing a absolutely professional checkered button-down collared shirt. And then to top it off, he has what I would call an English ascot type scarf around his neck.
It's a tie.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that a paisley pattern on that?
Very paisley, very bold. Doesn't go good with a striped shirt, but fuck it.
He brought me an extra one. I am going to put it on in a moment. I don't have it on now. Right now he's using it as a pocket square, but he looks extremely bourgeois.
No, this is my pocket square.
It is.
Yeah, that matches.
Okay.
I have another one at home. I'll bring it to you.
Is that pocket square the same as the
ascot
kerchief or whatever?
Ascot.
Same size and everything, though?
I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to start wearing them. If I go to a wedding, you're going to see me wearing an ascot. Funeral, I may not because they may think it's mockery. But maybe a dinner engagement, I'll wear an ascot.
You look very bourgeoisie.
I feel it. Why not? Why not be? Look down upon the peasants.
Whereas I stop and eat at McDonald's, you go to Five Guys or Culver's, basically.
Yes. Yeah. I step it up a notch.
Yeah, you wouldn't be caught dead at Mickey D's.
Well, I won't be caught. Don't get caught. It's like our T-shirt slogan.
Always, always, always get your fast food and your coffees at the cheapest place you can, and then tune in to the Bubs and T-Bag show, where we like to stretch the dollar.
You know what I like to do is maybe have a little French press, and then get really jacked up.
Fan of the show is very into the French press. I have a coffee with him usually a couple times a week in the mornings.
Yeah.
He's an American farmer. In fact,
he holds the earth sacred.
Yeah. In fact, maybe that's just what we'll refer to him as the American farmer. He makes a mean cup of coffee. And the other day, he borrowed me his power washer, which I used today. He donated a little something to the show, not in that it's down here right now, but he's trying to beautify the grounds and the studio. And we thank the American farmer for that. There's another guy who I've got to acknowledge. I don't know if you noticed this new light that we've got here in the studio.
Yeah, let me describe it. It's a, probably about a 2.5 foot long, 9-inch, maybe a foot high, old Milwaukee sign from probably about 1983, where the taste is great as its name. Old Milwaukee.
Can't beat it. That was donated to us by a very, very good friend of mine for many, many years. Great guy, Larry. Thank you. Thank you so much for the sign. It actually fits perfectly down here. Had a little bit of a problem with the delivery guy dropping it off. I think there's a new mailman in the neighborhood, but the sign actually arrived, and we love it.
Have you been drunk yet this month?
No.
Just had a few drinks.
I haven't been anything more than like 3 beers in. You know what I mean?
So that's basically 2 knuckles.
Yeah.
You got to the second knuckle.
I kind of want to tie a little bit of one on tonight, but I don't know that I will.
I'm not. I'm playing hurt tonight.
Yeah, I know. You're not feeling too good, huh?
No, I got a cold. Battling a cold.
What if we got you shot up with a nice, room temperature Jameson on the way out the door, just to kind of get the old sinuses opened up?
Satan be gone.
Not even at our favorite place down the road?
Not this month.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, just so you know, I have been in there recently. And,
if I wear this ascot in there, somebody's going to punch me right in the face.
Our favorite bartender was asking about you, by the way.
Well, she knows.
Yeah.
She knows.
She misses you,
yeah.
And she's been listening to the show.
Good.
So
good.
Can't wait to go back
She can pour a good drink. And heckle you a little bit. I like the heckling part.
Yeah.
I also brought something for the studio. So it's a wrestling singlet. We won't mention the school, but for some reason, one of my kids must have been large at the time, and it barely fits me. But I'll donate this to the wall.
Has it been washed, especially in the swimsuit region? Just asking for a friend.
Well, why would you wash it?
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck?
And that's the right answer.
The essence of Bubs in a Christmas party of long ago.
Do you mind if I hang it right now as we're recording?
Go ahead.
All right.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna have to ask you to entertain the audience here while I grab the little hanging pins.
That looks nice.
Yeah, it does, huh?
Yeah, it looks
very
really
nice. Always wanted to have a men's singlet adorning my wall. A used men's singlet.
Well, you can put it on, once in a while, and maybe just remember elbows in. Elbows in.
Elbows in.
Elbows in.
That's how you wrestle?
Well, otherwise they get up underneath you. Elbows in. You're trying to get underneath theirs. Get
I
some
don't know
leverage.
anything about wrestling. Myself, I've never done it.
It's a brutal sport to sign your 6-year-old, 5-year-old, and 4-year-olds up for. And it
makes men out of them, though, I bet.
Well, they learn about pain. They learn that they can work through pain, and you know what? Crying ain't going to win the game, so shut the fuck up and get back out there.
See, my parents, they didn't enter me into sports like those. I think they just signed me up for stuff to get kind of out of their hair.
Yeah. Well, if you look at me personally, I probably should have wrestled and not played hockey.
Thank you, though, for the singlet.
Yeah. I mean, it made the last time I wore it was at your Christmas party.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Larry, for the beer light. Yeah. A cherished item here in the studio. And thank you to whoever steps up and gives us the stand-up bar quality dartboard, like the one that's plugged into all the dart internet stuff and everything. I can't have the Walmart stuff. No, I can't have it. I don't know if this translates well into the listening audience, but we're basically just in a empty room. It's a basement that's unfinished, built to code. That's what the studio is, but soon to be bigger.
Your studio is built to code.
Yeah.
At the Ponderosa.
We've got about 3 outlets down here, and
lots of cords.
Life is peachy. Right now, we're
cords.
sitting in a room only illuminated by Christmas lights and a beer light, and I'd have it no other way. Dude, when I was Dude, when I was getting our pre-show coffees today, I'm going to be really excited too when we can do a pre-show coffee and then a during the show Old Milwaukee. But when I was getting the pre-show coffees, I noticed something. Man, Halloween, it's not even October. And Halloween is already like this full fucking thing. And I guess I don't really remember it like that when I was younger.
What's while you're going to Mickey D's, what sparked this?
Just seeing stores like advertising Halloween stuff in September. And I kind of realized that I bet in another 10 years, if things keep going the way they're going, Halloween will like overtake Christmas.
Well, I think for that,
which is sad.
There's a demographic out there that definitely, as adults, like to partake. Like maybe it's almost like LARPing, where on one night or whatever, let's say Halloween's on a Thursday, so Friday night will be the Halloween night for adults who drink, where they will go to bars and have costume contests and have parties and do all this stuff and get dressed up in elaborate, expensive items.
From what I've noticed,
some cosplay.
Yeah, it is adult focused now, because when I was younger, I mean, it was focused on, I think, more on kids. Yeah, they would have some Halloween parties that adults would go to at a house or something, but there weren't Halloween stores that popped up out of nowhere. You went to the department store or drugstore or something like that and got a costume. And
Snyder's.
I remember, Snyder's. Boy, they sold Halloween costumes there too, and it was like a plastic bag that you put on, like a garbage bag.
Flammable, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like Mainway.
You put on a plastic bag that was like painted in a design of like fucking Superman.
You're a bag of broken glass.
And then they gave you a plastic mask with a rubber band around the back of it.
Yeah. One of my favorite costumes, I was Batman.
Plastic Batman mask and then garbage bag.
Well, it had, probably some sort of highly flammable polyester little
arms and leg holes.
Yeah, whatever it was. Well, I think for me growing up, probably about, we were more unsupervised, probably by about 6th grade completely. 5th grade for sure, 6th grade. And then we would roam the streets 7th, 8th grade. By about 9th grade, you were done with it. It was just basically an excuse to go out and drink on a Tuesday night with your buddies. But, we would run the streets like a gang of wilding fucking criminals.
Yep.
And it was phenomenal. Egging, smashing everything. The idiot people that put out the one bowl with please take one, somebody would just dump it.
Gone. I'll never forget. It's interesting you bring this up. I don't want to lose my train of thought about Halloween as completely being commercialized by evil forces. But the last time I ever went trick-or-treating with a group of guys, I was in 8th grade, I believe, but it was the Halloween megastorm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that was the last time I went. And I'm really surprised that my mom was even able to pick me up. Like, I was at another kid's house, not super far away, but far away enough where she had to drive somewhere and get me in.
I was 21 years old in Mankato.
Were you guys snowed in for like 2 days or what?
Yeah, it was phenomenal. We were on the 2nd level of an apartment. We had a balcony, and the snowdrift the next day went all the way up the side of the building. And we could open up our sliding glass door. So we walked to the local liquor store and carried like 4 cases, probably of Old Milwaukee.
And brought it right back in through the 2nd floor.
No, we brought it back, and then we used that as our beer cooler, and then just stuck the bottles in there like a fancy wine thing.
Not bad.
And then we could just slide it open and drink.
I remember...
Twins won the World Series that year, and then I think the Stars that spring probably went to... Was it 91, 92, or 90, 91? They went
I think it was
Stanley Cup.
I think it was 90, 91. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. But anyway, so I was in college.
I was in middle school. Just like you describe it, though, with throwing pumpkins, stealing candy, lighting incendiary devices and throwing them, assaulting one another, calling each other slurs. Great time.
Yeah. Well, that's what young men should go do.
I agree. And now they're not really doing that. I think it seems to me like they're practicing more how to be young women, which is scary. But eventually that's going to work itself out.
I always liked, coming home very early in the morning or late in the morning or whatever it was from work. And I would have a smile on my face when I would see our street littered with smashed pumpkins and ours kicked in or thrown across the driveway. I never got upset about that.
They're doing the Lord's work.
They're doing work that's necessary, and I think my oldest kid, 8th grade, he had some buddies over, and of course some concerned parents had to drop their kids off and stand around in my garage. And I had gone out and bought large Snicker bars for all these boys. And then his younger brother was tagging along with a couple of his buddies. So there was a good dozen of these maniacs. And they were going to just free roam, right? And then they were using our house as the base, which I have no problem with. And I, whatever, I'm sitting out drinking beer and in the driveway handing out candy to little kids. But I get, there's concerned parents that wouldn't leave. And it's just amazing to me. And I look at these boys and I go, listen, go out and have a fucking good time. I give them like a pep speech. And I go out and have a great time. And as I'm doing this, I'm putting big candy bars in their bags. And a couple of them, I drove some like 20 penny nails through the middle of them, obviously. Just obvious nails, right?
Yeah.
And dumped them in, and none of the kids noticed. So like a half dozen of them had nails just right through them, perpendicular.
Some of those parents, too, probably found those nails later, and that was probably the last time they allowed their children to go trick-or-treating with your children.
It's possible, but I stood in front of all these parents that were there, all concerned about their kids, and I had all I said was, listen, you're going to go out and you're going to do stupid shit, have a great time doing stupid shit, but don't get fucking caught. And the parents were like, well, you can. And I go, listen, when you run from the cops, run as fast as you can. Don't stop. Don't wait for your buddies. Regroup at this house. And then the parents were just appalled that I said that as I'm dropping
candy bars with nails in
them.
Yeah.
Not one person called about the nails.
Let's fast forward to this day, Bubs.
That was only a few years ago.
Where are those kids now? I can tell you where they're at.
I know where mine are.
Yeah, yours are successful and succeeding and thriving and flourishing, and the other kids who their parents were too worried, right now, they're stripping at a transsexual men's club somewhere in downtown Minneapolis and talking and worshiping a statue of abortion or something along those lines.
Something phallic and Roman.
Right.
So anyway, back to your Halloween.
I think that Halloween is just where I see it going is Christmas is basically going to be rapidly replaced by Halloween. If the pagans, let's call them, have anything to say about it. I don't know why I think that. It just seems like Halloween as a holiday is really, really growing and Christmas is kind of decreasing.
Well, Christmas has become obviously over commercialized. And what's the reason for the season, right? It's the birth of Christ.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you're celebrating. What are you celebrating on Halloween? It's All Hallows Eve, right?
Right.
And it's after isn't it after a holy day of obligation or something? I can't remember.
All I know is this: the people that control all the media and stuff like that, they don't like Christmas.
Secular.
They don't like Christmas.
No, they don't.
You know
like
what
Christmas.
they do like though? They like Halloween.
They like money.
They like something neutral and evil.
Do you ever, like I watch Netflix and every other damn show on there is some evil witchcraft, weird, demonic show.
I lost my train of thought when you said I watch Netflix.
Well, I do. Because you assign movies and I have to try to find them.
Most of the ones I would assign, I'm guessing, would not be on Netflix. But
okay.
maybe you're right. Looking forward to the new Netflix episode too, where they it's the Abraham Lincoln documentary as well as the Neil Armstrong documentary. Those are going to be good. Lincoln being played by Morgan Freeman, and then Neil Armstrong, I believe, is played by who is it? Jamie Foxx. Yeah.
Oh.
So looking forward to those.
Yeah, those will be good.
Yeah, very much so.
Something seems distorted.
What are you talking about?
Huh?
Exactly.
Say what?
Thank you.
What you talking about, Willis?
I don't have Netflix anymore. I used to steal it. Number one Gary used to let me use all of his accounts, and they took it from me, Bubs. They took that Netflix account from me.
Well, they said it's time for you to be an adult and pay for your own shit.
And I said no.
No, I will refuse.
First, they came for my Netflix, and I said nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Oh.
Then they went for Hulu, and I still said nothing, and no.
Those commercials on Hulu are fucked up.
I canceled that one recently. I think now I just maybe have Prime, and the reason I think I have that is so I can get the free, discounted deliveries when I stay up at night and order men's T-shirts drunk on the internet. My Prime delivery it's like free or something like that. Yeah. But I still have Prime. I don't think I have Hulu anymore. I did have Disney for a little while. I had to get rid of that. I couldn't. I mean, supporting that is not good.
What would you watch on Disney?
They used to have all the old Star Wars and Indiana Jones movies and stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah. Some of the stuff they owned or the intellectual property rights that they owned, you could only get on Disney.
Okay.
That lasted only a month or two for me. And And I don't know if I still have a bootleg Disney account or not. But either way, it doesn't really matter. I've gotten pretty much away from all TV in the last few years. Not to mention football's going again. And boy, is that a fucking shit show of just pussies. I mean, complete pussies.
I watched, I think, 2 quarters of the Vikings game, maybe a quarter of it. I was really busy at home doing home improvement stuff. But the game was on for whatever reason. Watched part of it. And the penalties that they're calling for hits that were just normal hits 10 years ago. And then after the debacle of the Vikings' great loss was the Bears. And they played Kansas City. And I think at halftime it was 31-zip or 34-zip.
Yeah.
The same old fucking Chicago Bears came out there. But then they had a couple hits, too, that they called just shitty fucking penalties.
I won't do it. I won't watch anymore.
Yeah. I struggle because I love football and, just played it, loved it, and, I lived it.
I loved what it was. I loved gambling on it and making a living off that a little bit, even in a way. Now, though, no, I won't do it. I won't sort of participate in that charade.
Well, they need to have less teams, and they need to go back to 12 to 14 games because you're out to 18 games in a regular season.
No, that's money.
And otherwise they got to put the rosters up to 80 players or something because the linemen won't last.
Listen, if you watch football in its current incantation of whatever the fuck it is right now, you're gay.
Gay. You're just gay.
You're fucking gay.
It's gay. Just like you'd tell somebody in 8th grade they're gay.
Right now, look at the graphic on your screen right now. This was put out by the NFL last year. It was a commercial, and it had the NFL logo in rainbow colors, and it said football is gay. So I'm not what I just said is not a lie. The NFL themselves told me football is gay.
Oh.
Therefore, if you watch football, you are gay. I'm not gay, Bubs, so I can't watch football anymore. They divided a wedge right between me and gay people. Are you bisexual?
For a quarter, I'm curious.
Just in the fourth quarter, you might take a look.
I just like to peek. I'm a gazer.
You're a gazer.
I'm a meat gazer.
You gaze at football these days.
I don't watch. I just gaze over my shoulder in the shower.
A brief gaze.
It's just a quick gaze. I just want to check it out.
Bubs, what are you doing down there? Not much, honey. Be upstairs in a second. Just gazing at Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
That's what it's turned into.
Yeah.
And that's cool, man.
What's wrong with me gazing?
No,
being
nothing.
Curious.
Hey, look, all I'm saying is, as a hetero, the NFL has told me that the sign didn't say football is heterosexual.
Shut the fuck up. Watch your football every Thursday, Monday, and Saturday, Sundays, and drink your Bud Light.
Bubs, I drink Old Milwaukee, and I'm not gay. Okay, they're telling me that I can't. You know what I mean? I need to, in order to participate, I need to be gay and I need to drink Bud Light. I don't know that I'm ready to go down that road yet. You, however, appear like you're ready to run down that fucking road. Gay pride flags in hand, ascot waving in the wind, based on the outfit you wore today to the studio. Is that true? Yes or no right now?
No, I'm celebrating our 30th episode.
For those of you listening, thanks for the 30th episode, and hopefully we can bring you 30 more.
Our numbers are a little odd, and I am going to make a suggestion on a guest that we can interview. I have a lady that I know who's in college. She's a math major. She's a mathlete. She's part of a math club.
She sounds smart.
Very smart, and she would like to sell us on the aspects of math and then why math is so important. I think it would be a good 15-minute interview, especially for two ignorant fuckers like us.
Math is important.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do hardly any of it.
I used to. There was a time. I can do algebra.
She's good at math.
She's a listener.
And she is a listener, too.
She's a listener, yep.
Well.
She's been indoctrinated into the line of thinking that originates from my household.
Good.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I think we should have her on the show.
She's very principled.
As soon as we can get that new piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Well, we could actually have her on, and you and I could just kind of share a mic or something like
That's
that.
gay.
Well, or you and her can share a mic then.
Well, you can interview her. I'll stand by as a man and just...
You might need to throw in your 2 cents, though.
Yeah.
You know, so once we get that other audio interface, though, I think we can have as many as 6 or 7 mics.
I suggested to her sometime probably around Christmas or a little, once her schooling's done. She's like a triple major and now probably going to go get a master's degree and be a TA for a minute.
I think it's amazing that we actually have a true scholar in the STEM field that
I think
is
she
a
could be
fan of
known
the
as
show.
the scholar.
The scholar?
Or the mathlete. I think mathlete.
Yeah, the mathlete's great.
She's the mathlete then.
Love to have her on.
Yeah. I talked to the professor today.
Set it up.
Yeah, I will.
How's he doing?
Doing well. He's I think he's in the right state down in Oklahoma, so he's doing well down there. Fits in. He's got a good job working at a place that sells steaks.
Nice. Any hog hunting?
Not yet. I know he's probably gone out and done some shooting.
I bet he has.
Yeah, and I don't know.
He loves his firearms.
He's a firearms aficionado.
Hey, you know who else is the American farmer?
American farmer is?
Yeah, he loves rifles himself as well. Kind of an amateur gunsmith in a way.
Is he?
Yeah, so if we ever, have gun problems or antique firearms come into your hands or something like that, we know a couple of guys.
Well, well, get him and the professor together.
Yeah, and the American farmer also quite accomplished at reloads.
Oh, nice. That's a good skill to have.
Speaking of hog hunting, though.
Are you going to tell me about your weekend at the bar or what?
No. Well, yes, I will tell you about that coming up. But
hey, now.
Hey,
oh.
Hunting season in Minnesota is coming up.
That's right.
Deer hunting, that is. About another, little over a month, 5 weeks basically.
Yeah.
Things are going to be good to go. And I know you are a massive woodsman, so to speak.
Well, I survived.
Anything, what's on the horizon? What are the keys to a successful deer camp in Minnesota? Let me ask you that. You've been doing this forever. I've only done stuff like, small deer hunting excursions with people who aren't extremely experienced and a lot of times hunting on public land.
Well, I think there's probably a two-prong approach to this. A successful deer camp. Are you talking about a successful hunt or just the camp itself?
All the above. Mainly, what I'm wondering is, for the camp purposes, what are things that you absolute must-haves? What are some things that you're not going to necessarily need, even though maybe some people think you need to have them? What's going to spoil the weekend or the week if you either don't have it or you have this or this guy is there, this type of person's there? Like what are the keys in your opinion? I mean, it sounds like you have porta potties brought out there and everything, huh?
Yeah, we brought our deer camp up to a AAA rating and a number of years ago. Just rent a Biffy. Probably should have bought one and just had it cleaned for us, But the Biffy is key. A good facility to have a nice BM at your morning constitution, or if maybe you've had several Old Milwaukees the day before and a lot of grease.
Maybe a bit of a looser stool at that
could
point.
come back to haunt you, where you're tripping on your feet to get in and then blow something down the back of your leg. No,
you love your BMs. We all know.
Well, people can laugh about that, but you have a baby, you want to make sure they have good BMs.
Gotcha.
You go through your life, you have a good BM, you're happy, and when you get old, you just hope you don't shit yourself.
Yeah.
So it really comes around to that.
Taking a dump is important at deer camp, is what you're saying.
It is. I would say good drink if you're a drinker. We always have whiskey. Beer is unlimited.
What kind of beer you guys drink up there besides Bud Light?
Busch lattes became a big one.
Okay.
Before it was High Life's, Old Milwaukee, whatever.
Hopefully Old Milwaukee is kind of the beer of choice this year.
Maybe I'll grab a case. I think I had Hams up there last year, a 30-pack.
Not bad. Yeah, I'm...
we try to designate a meal plan, so we'll have a good dinner. My buddy will make a couple dinners pre-made. I'll have stuff. We'll do steaks. We'll have chili. We do biscuits and gravy for a dinner on a Sunday night.
Will you ever do a backstrap, venison fresh from the animal?
Oh, yes. That's the tenderloins that we cut from the inside. And then I'll marinate them in something, and then we'll those are like an appetizer for the camp.
Sure, just eat them up fresh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those aren't bad.
Yeah, it's really good. You got to do that, or make sure you take them from the animal and package them properly and store them so then you can enjoy them when you take them home. Otherwise, they'll get really dried out if you just let them hang there. So we cut them out immediately.
I'd like to go with you. Yeah,
you're invited up the second weekend.
Thank you.
First weekend is kind of the old school traditional group.
Yeah. I might not cut it that weekend.
Well, it gets rough.
Yeah, everybody's jockeying for position to shoot whatever deer first.
We have enough deer stands. You go out and you sit. Over the last few years, I don't get as much time in the deer stand because I've become like camp coordinator.
Sure.
And then my middle kid is like Mr. Lucky, and he's always shooting something. So then I end up helping him, or if one of my buddy's kids or somebody shoots something, then I kind of, you want to get involved and help out and teach and all that stuff. So
I'm the guy who kind of maybe wants to be in the stand from like 0500 to 0830.
Okay. Well, then we'll put you in a closer one.
And then you can maybe get in the stand again from like 1730 to 1900 or whenever sunset is.
See, I'm all the time and effort that I put into setting up camp, getting everything ready. It starts in the summer and then kind of ramps up right now, maybe even a month ago. And if I'm going to invest all that time and money, Saturday, Sunday for sure, I'm out there all day, sun up to sundown.
Regardless of what's moving, you're out there.
I am. I'll doze off or whatever, but I'm sitting out there because I look at it as most people go in at 10 to 11, right, for lunch or whatever. So they're moving deer around, even the people in the properties around us. So then they're moving deer around.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sit out there. I've shot more deer after 11 a.m. than I have early.
Really?
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
How big they get up there?
Big. They get thick. It's the hipping area, so they put on a coat. They get a lot of fat.
You do any feeding?
We put out food plots just to try to get them to hang out.
Sure.
Once in a while, I've dumped corn, but the bears come and eat that or every other animal.
Are there any dangers up there, or just mainly don't drink too much and step on something and break your leg or what?
Well, people could fall into fires. You can cut yourself with a knife, especially like if you're not used to, gutting a deer. You can, if somebody's helping you, got them know where their hands are. And then, if shit happens, you can fall over or sprain your ankle. Or I've seen people fall at a deer stands hungover the night before.
2 years ago, I was deer hunting. Last time I went, when it wasn't bow hunting, I did go a couple times last year bow hunting, but that's a skill that I've kind of like taught myself and never put it into practice.
Yeah.
I think I could probably stick a deer within 35 yards if it was completely still, but I don't really know the finer points of bow hunting, so I haven't been that close to an animal before. While I had the bow
the finer points of bow hunting are the mistakes you make for a couple of years going out, or at least the nice thing about bow hunting is it starts mid-September in Minnesota, goes till the end of the year, the end of December, so you get a lot of time, and the mistakes you make is what you learn from, what noises you're making, how you have your arrow set, how you have access to your second arrow if you miss, all that type of stuff. You learn that through mistakes, like everything else.
I haven't even gotten to those mistakes yet. I'm more just, how close can I get to this thing before it gets scared away? And it's usually not that close. But 2 winters ago, was up north near the Aitken area and got one with, my friend got one morning.
With a bow?
Nope. Got it with a rifle.
Yeah, it's fun. Did you help him gut it?
I did. He was having a couple of issues.
It happens.
He texted me or something.
Was it a buck?
No, it was a doe.
Okay.
Texted me that he had shot. I told him he was going out early. It was the last day of hunting. I said, I'm not going out this early. But I saw it was snowing, just very lightly. I figured, there's a good chance he might get, if it's snowing, a little easier to see it.
Yep.
And sure enough, he did. Crack of dawn. I said, if you get one, text me because I'll come out there. It's going to take me a little while to drive it, though, to get out there in the snow.
I don't remember the last time I shot one. I've been so busy dealing with all the people in camp and doing things.
Well, this year it's going to be your turn, Bubs.
Yeah,
and I think
probably 7 years ago was the last time I had a shot at a giant buck, and it was like 8 yards in front of me. Well, it was a muzzle loader, and I was walking through deep snow, and I just camped out in the spot for a long time. This big ass motherfucker came walking right through, and I had moved 10 yards over to a different position, and it was sitting over in this thick shit, and I should have shot from the waist.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't get a shot off or no?
No, as I started, I could see the color of its eyelids.
Wow.
But I could. It was in all this thick, like, not tag elder, but what's the other purple shit? It'll come to me. But anyway, so I couldn't, like I should have just shot from my waist and I would have hit it right in the chest.
Right.
Instead of, I tried bringing my firearm up. And as soon as I got about halfway up, it stomped its foot and ran off. But it was probably a 12-pointer.
This year, maybe he's still out there, Bubs.
Maybe. Whatever.
Yeah, you should have. That muzzleloader would have made short work of him, probably.
Yeah. But I was, for a minute, I had a ticket to the game, and I wasn't in the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was like, holy shit. But that happens. That was the one that got away.
They're out there, buddy.
Yeah.
They're out there.
Yeah. I shot a nice 6-pointer one year that was it was a 200-plus deer, 200 pounds.
Really?
Plus, yeah.
Yeah. Heavy one, huh?
Yeah.
I'm going to, pray for the, the gods to, well, not the gods.
What is the god of the hunt?
I'm sending good luck your way this year for the hunt.
You got to get up. Another thing is you got to, if you're going to spend all this time, I mean, I don't care anymore. When my kids were young, I would make them get up because you're up here, right? Get the experience. But now that they're young adults or adult men, if you don't want to get up, you want to sleep all day, go ahead. I don't give a shit. You want to drink all night?
It's your world, boss.
That's your world, Just don't puke on me.
It's good that you can get up there, though, for a few nights amongst men and have some freedom.
Yeah, shit talk.
Nobody's around. Your devices are hopefully stored away or...
So we use them. Well, I got a buddy that's a musician, and he's very astute to music, and it's sad because I struggle with it, but we'll bring acoustic guitars up, and he'll show me stuff, and I'll try to keep up.
Play some Camptown Lady and...
Doo-dar.
Yeah.
Doo-dar.
Whatever else.
Yeah.
Maybe pull out the harmonica.
How we should.
No,
No, I think it ends up some country songs and Soul Asylum and replacements. And
nice. Very nice.
Stuff like that.
I like the idea. I like going up to the woods. Nowadays, it's kind of the last place where you really are private. You know what I mean?
Yeah, privacy is an issue, isn't it? Nowadays,
it's gone.
Well, we agree to it. We have convenience with our phones, so we agree to give up our privacy.
How long until people finally say fuck it? I'm betting in another 10 years. I think there's some sort of movement that happens. It'll be like what aerobics was like in the 80s. There's going to be a movement.
Hey, what I did watching Denise Austin is my own business.
I agree. In the privacy of your own home.
That's right.
You had privacy back then.
I
Who
did.
knew what you were putting in the VHS player? Only you and maybe the guy who was standing behind the counter at whatever mom and pop video shop it was who rented you the tape.
Of Bootylicious Aerobics.
Yeah. Of whatever it was.
Denise Austin's greatest aerobic hits.
Right. That guy knew, and that was it. When you went home, only you knew what was going in the VCR and when. Nowadays...
And the Lord.
Yes.
The Lord knew.
He was looking down on you and down on you.
Sinner.
Yes. Not happy.
You're a sinner.
Nowadays, however...
It goes in, the data's collected, they all know what you're doing.
You're probably watching it on your phone or on your TV that's hooked into your phone somehow.
Sure.
18 tech billionaires and their subordinate employees are now aware what time you have ordered Cocoa Bun 17. They know when you stopped it. They know what scene you paused at. They know what scene you rewinded, which in Bub's case was the
money shot.
The two ladies, showing up at his pool table and having their way with him. He rewound that several times. My point being, though, is that nowadays there's many people in on
my experience,
right?
Whether I'm watching old NFL something or
right, whether it's the purchase of it, the playing of it, the stoppage of it when you decided, hey, I don't like this, I'm not into it anymore.
So that comes down to what? Data analytics and the constant stream of information, right?
And money.
Well, money, yeah, information I guess is money.
Nowadays, definitely.
So what do you do? Okay, so I want to check out. Do I go to a flip phone just for the convenience? But then even that's tracked.
It is probably not as much, or maybe, I don't know what's going to tip I think someday it does happen. I don't know how it happens, but I think it happens. I think right now there's a lot of Americans who are overly connected. They are overly exposed to pieces of media that they didn't necessarily ask to consume. They're consuming tidbits of information that they didn't even know are being fed to them. That to me is, I think, something that's going to be someday revolted against. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I think it's going to happen. It's just, excuse me, there's simply too much. It's anti-privacy at this point.
But it's convenience. See,
it is.
It's all about convenience. I'm telling you, people will not give up convenience. It's water takes the path of least resistance, and humans for eons try to do everything the most efficient and easiest way. I mean, granted, the obstacle is the way in a way, but, why was there advances in technology? Because we wanted to make things easier or more efficient or more productivity.
What happens when the convenience is used against you? At some point there, maybe there's a line that, is drawn that...
Well, I think it's already happened.
Right. It definitely is already happening.
We're just ignorant to the fact of how severe it is.
That, and people haven't started losing things that are extremely valuable yet in mass. There's an occasional person that, is well off or in the public eye. Right now, Russell Brand comes to mind. He used to be an actor, English guy, kind of obnoxious.
Comedian, right?
Yeah. But because he's been talking about vaccine injury and he's real into pushing against the vaccine and stuff like that from COVID. And great, good for him. I believe that those are messages that should probably get out. But lo and behold, Russell Brand starts doing more vaccine stuff and talking negatively about it. And then a couple weeks ago or a week ago, whenever it was, 3 or 4 women come out of the woodwork and say that he tried to rape me, 15 years ago. This never came out, until now. Things of that nature seem to be happening a little too more frequently, but they only happen to people like that right now for the most part.
Well, when the Bubs and T-Bag show gets famous, I'm going to revert back to 2006, and I'm going to talk about how you raped me.
Yeah? Well, should we just air it out right now and just kind of get it out there, or what?
No, I'm still struggling with it.
Okay.
I'll air it when I...
Let the record reflect. I have no idea what Bubs is talking about, and even if I did, I...
deny everything.
I deny...
of course you do, you
make counter accusations.
Pig.
Bubs, listen, I will say this, and then we have to drop it. What you were wearing that night left very little to the imagination.
Kind of like a singlet.
And you were asking for it, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
were asking for it.
That's right.
You can't do that.
Every time I said no, you thought it meant yes.
In my head, it was 1984 or 85.
Mm-hmm.
Rocky IV had just came out, and I was feeling very masculine and American that night.
That's right. MURICA.
No,
It's privacy.
I don't dig it. Yeah, and...
Well, then stop using your phone.
You're right.
Stop using this shit.
You're right.
Just give it up. What'll happen?
It might be a little easier for someone like me could probably get rid of their phone without totally disrupting their life. Maybe I could, but even me, I don't have kids. I'm not in group chats a whole lot, so it'd probably be a lot easier for me to give it up. Families, people with living paycheck to paycheck and stuff like that with children.
They need the convenience.
Yeah, I do too. I mean,
but why?
I live paycheck to paycheck. But
it wasn't that long ago where I never had a fucking. There were no cell phones. There was no internet.
Right
you
now,
had a landline.
Most things right now expect you to buy things like, hey, you want to buy this on? Okay, log in with Facebook. Fuck you, motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't use Facebook.
No.
You think I want Mark Zuckerberg up my fucking financial a-hole looking into every single thing that I do in life?
Well, I don't think that's it. It's only when you become influential.
Yes. Once they can finally take something from you.
Yeah, what are they going to
But if you never offer up anything for them to take...
What are they going to take from us?
Well, nothing, because even if somebody were to come in here right now with 2 bags of Jew gold, lay it at my feet and say, here, this is for you, tell us the message that you're about to...
I think it's silver. I think you would want to use silver.
Even right now,
30 pieces.
If some guy came into this basement and laid 30 pieces of silver at my feet and said, "Here, this is for you. All you have to do is repeat this message."
Judas.
I would say no.
Judas.
Right. I have much more fun giving the message that I want to give right now to the 57 or so listeners we have. If you're going to turn them into 57 million listeners overnight, I'm not interested in your product unless I got those 57 million listeners myself, which is impossible to do. You can't do it without the reach that the people who have all the bags of silver, you can't do it. I mean, it would take us 40 years to get that many followers organically, that many soldiers who want to listen to quality audio content like they get here at the Bubs and T-Bag show.
True.
We're going to start small. We're going to continue to grow. Our goal is by January 1st, 2024, we're going to have over 100 followers on spread across platforms. Right now, the YouTube and X followers are about dead even, right around 60.
Great.
Yeah.
So we're using the system to our advantage to throw our art out there.
Right. But let's eventually use it against the very people right now that are strangling the privacy right out of us, Bubs.
Then one out of the 82,000 IRS agents will be knocking on our door, auditing the shit out of us.
Knocking on the door. Will they be leaving?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to get that way about it.
The righteous thing to do would be when the IRS agents knock on your door is to have an interaction with them. And that is the last place that that they're seen.
Yeah. Well,
let's put it that way.
Yeah.
If enough people were to start doing that, I believe that tax collecting would become something that is much more advantageous to the taxee than the taxer.
I guess. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's.
At the end of the day, Bubs, that may be what finally tips the scales, is taxing people too hard. Wars have been fought over taxes, Bubs. Wars have been fought over taxes. They've also been fought over free speech.
What about like Shays' Rebellion, after the Confederacy of the States, of the early version of the United States, they had to quell because they were taxing the beer and whiskey too much.
What exactly was Shays' Rebellion, broad strokes?
Well, they decided, each state had its own currency. Each state was that, and they needed to come up with a recognized currency, in this country. And at that time, before the Constitution of the United States and all that stuff, they had the Continental Congress and all that shit.
I believe so.
So they started to tax the shit out of whiskey, and I think beer too. And then people said, "Fuck that! We're not going to deal with your shit. Fuck you!" And then there was a rebellion.
It's a big no-no. Yeah, they were taxing something that they used.
I think it was Washington or somebody had to go in there and say, "Hey, all right, let's just calm this down. Let's back off of this on this, and we need to work together, and we need to come up with a currency that's that and taxing that's normal or whatever."
Sure.
But it's always been a problem. The amount of taxes that we're crushed with now, progressive, income, just everywhere you turn around, vices. I mean, they think about that fucking ninny-ass, puke-ass liberal motherfuckers that decide that you can't smoke. So, we're going to make sure that it costs so much that it's cost prohibitive for you to chew or smoke, right?
Yeah, they definitely do that.
Yeah.
And
you go to a state, another state in this country, and it's $5 a tin or $4 a tin for chewing tobacco. Where here it's almost $9.
We can thank Tim Walz and Peggy Flanagan for that.
Well, no, you can thank them all. They're all fucking... And then you have gas tax. Why is gas prices at this? Because it's taxes. They want to now put a wheel tax on your ass and do a mileage tax.
You can thank Tim Walz and Peggy Flanagan for that.
Well,
they don't want you driving
because
they want to control...
20 years ago.
They want to control your movement.
Well, they want to, yeah. And that comes down to privacy. You go anywhere, you're on camera.
I've got an idea for Tim and Peggy and their cameras and their taxes and their wheelage and their bullshit. If enough people were to stand up and tell those two people, for example, that we're going to be taxing them every time they open their mouth.
Yeah.
In a certain way. We're taxing them. We're taking a risk. We're telling you that every time you open your mouth, there's going to be at least 600 to 700 people surrounding you, shouting you down, telling you that you're not allowed to move unless we say you can move. You want to leave this building? Great. We'll leave first and let you exit and go back to the safety of your home. But before we do that, You're going to shut your fucking mouth and ease up a little bit and pull back on the reins and stop choking hardworking Americans.
I tell you what, you'd be able to get away with that for probably a week.
Until what? He calls in the National Guard?
Calls in the National Guard, and they're going to build ass fences. Look what they did with on January 6th with the Capitol building.
At that point, the National Guard's compromised.
Well, yeah. They're going to do what they're told.
Some of them will.
Well, those generals are all political appointees. Well, not appointees, but they play a political game.
Are the generals standing there with a rifle with a bayonet at the end of it telling people to move?
No, of course not.
Who is
the
doing
good ones
that?
are. The good ones are.
The 19 to 27-year-olds who, are waiting to get their GI Bill in another couple years.
But it comes down to each individual's need, that they want their own, I'm here for myself, my money, my pay. I don't want to get put in prison. I don't want to get put in jail. Look what they're doing to those people from January 6th.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going after Trump for it, a former president.
They can only do that for so long before the levee breaks, though.
I don't see the levee breaking.
It breaks at some point. It always does.
It won't break in our time. Not in our time.
In our lifetime, it won't break. No,
maybe in our lifetime, but you and I will be old and ineffective.
I disagree. I think it's probably at some point within the next 12 to 36 months.
No, not at all. Not one bit. When Biden and Kamala win the next election, nobody will do a fucking thing about it.
Nobody, huh?
No. And why would you? You'd get put in jail before you even get a fucking trial. At that point,
the fix is
trial. In. Yeah, the fix is in. The fix was in. Come on.
Right now, they're systematically trying to weaken the United States by importing millions of people who will eventually have a ballot in an upcoming presidential election, even though those people won't really be voting themselves and probably have no care or worry in the world.
But that's kind of a populist reaction, don't you think, of those people coming here? I would bet only
it's the only way they can do it. They
10% of them will vote.
They can't, not even. They can't use another pandemic this time because that's already been done and people didn't follow it the way they thought they would. They can't do that again.
Sure.
What can they do? Well, we can import millions of people. Who cares who they are? Like 20 years ago, people coming into the country were vetted because we had a thing happen called 9/11. Apparently, we've forgotten about that. There's still people that don't like us for everything that happened after 9/11 to this day. They'll do that again. There will be zero accountability, but you'll be left with these millions and millions of people who now need to be deported. That can be done if you have the right people to vote.
So you're talking about rounding up illegal immigrants and just shipping them out?
Yes. Oh. Yes. Yes, that's what a normal country would do in that point.
Sure.
Finding the people that aren't supposed to be here and kicking them out of the party. Whether that happens, you need to vote in people who are competent and willing to take some type of political risk to make that happen.
That would only happen in dire straits.
Yeah, but you cannot vote them in when they're already cheating.
That's right.
You know the fix is in. I know the fix is in. There's a lot of people, like some of my buddies, who are currently still right now pretending that what's happening isn't really happening. Those guys still have a couple more years to go before they realize, holy shit, I can't do anything anymore. I've been lied to. This goes back for over a decade for a lot of these people. And right now they're sitting there going, you know what? I just want to pretend this isn't happening. Will you please leave me alone and stop talking about this? What I want to do is I want to watch football and not be hassled. Okay, we already established if you're watching football, you're gay.
What if you're watching football, now you're watching commercials for transgender and you're watching commercials for all this, ESG and diversity shit that these corporations are shoving down your throat.
Yeah, you're getting little micro doses of wokeism
programming.
Yeah, delivered to you every day, and over time that wears you down. If you aren't selective with what type of media you consume at this point, you're basically being suicided very slowly, especially if you're white.
Well, yeah, they're pushing the white man
out of everything. You are a second-class citizen if you are white. I don't know how it gets fixed until other people who are currently wishing this wasn't happening finally admit it's actually happening.
Well, I guess there's different avenues, right? You can try to vote these people out that are running the show.
Won't work
because they run the show.
They control the ballots.
Well, they control the democratic machine. The democratic machine is not the DFL of our forefathers. It's a Marxist organization.
to say that that's the end of it and things can never work again is impossible to
No,
me. Things can
we've
always
been
work
through
again.
horrible times in this country. The Capitol was burned down in 1812. We had a civil war that lasted 5 years, right? And then you had everything that's happened with depressions and world wars. The country will survive in some aspect. Hopefully the country survives in an aspect of liberty
Yeah.
and freedom of speech, right? There is no freedom of speech now.
Very, very little. I mean, if you're a person that has any sort of pulpit or platform, they like to say a lot now, where you have a lot of people that listen to you.
That's probably where it starts. Have the freedom of speech, the true freedom of speech. I can listen to a Marxist talk all I want. I'm not going to crush them until they decide to crush me.
Freedom of speech needs to be absolute pretty much in all public forums. And right now, the main forum, unfortunately, where that exists is
private.
Is Twitter.
It's private.
What do you mean?
Isn't Twitter private?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that Musk will have the balls to initiate true, like, hey, you can say whatever you want on here. Don't worry, there's no consequences.
Well, that's the funny thing about it is you should be able to have some white supremacist Nazis get on and talk their fucking bullshit and let them talk and talk and talk and talk. And then you realize these motherfuckers
these
are
guys are
stupid
weird.
as fuck.
Yeah.
They're dumb. They're stupid. Their arguments are dumb. They're full of shit, right? Let them talk all they want because that exposes their ignorance.
Yeah, I agree.
But as soon as you say, well, you can't say Nazi, can't say anything.
Right.
And then these fuckers can go say all the shit they want or believe what they want, fine. And then other idiot kids grow up and don't know what it really is.
That's what's happening right now. That can't sustain itself forever. It cannot sustain itself forever.
Well, it has in other countries over the years. And it does. It's not forever,
Not
but
forever.
it might be a 70-year run.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I'd argue that we've been probably kind of under sort of that spell going back to probably like the late 1960s, early 1970s.
Academic, yes.
That's where it first
Societal
started
probably
seeping
really
in.
started showing up in the mid-90s.
Yes. And then it went into overdrive, I would say, once Trump got elected. That fucked a lot of people up in the establishment that, I mean, dude, I know people that have never
Hillary was supposed to be the savior.
never recovered from that.
I don't know how. I mean, what's so funny is nobody gave a fuck about, okay, Reagan's president, Carter was president, Carter sucked. Ford, for Christ's sake, Ford was president for a while, right? Okay,
Yeah.
These people have nothing to do with our everyday lives. But all you do on the media, it's President this. President Biden said this. President Obama said this. President Trump did this all day long. But it's your city commission, your county commissioners, your city council members, your state representatives are the ones that are fucking your life
That's
over.
what really affects your life.
Yes, your state and local shit. It's not the fucking... that's the red herring and the distraction. Who gives a fuck what Biden does? I don't care. I don't care one thing that motherfucker does because it's the people behind him, first of all. It's not him.
Yeah, no, he's
a
not,
figurehead.
he's not operating.
He's a figurehead.
He's being used.
He won a presidential election from a basement.
Yeah, I guess he did win it through
From a basement.
unscrupulous means.
Well, they're better at it than Republicans are. And I'm not a fan of Republicans anymore or anything.
Republicans won't get this done. What will get it done is people right now talking about it in a basement going, I'm sick of it. Where are my boys at? Let's load up. What can we do?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know.
well, here's...
Parallel society.
No.
Exists
when those
in our
guys
own world.
finally get upset enough, they go, you know what? Let's go to the most easiest accomplishable target there is. Who is that? How about 17 or 18 of these local judges that have made our lives a living
You can
hell
challenge
by...
them to duels.
Yeah. Or you could just, go over and say, hey, we decided to, step right over dueling and we're just going to go
and feather you. Run you out on a rail. Wow, they used to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to change your mind, Judge.
I think things like that will most likely be the most... I think things like that will be the most likely option at some point if things
I think
really do
I think
come
on
to
the
a head.
show we talked about how society will break down and it's going to be urban and rural. And the outer suburbs will lean towards the rural, the inner suburbs are going to lean towards the urban city dwellings where the tallest buildings are, and those places are just going to be fucking some wasteland anarchist,
Inner suburbs are going to be decimated.
Yes, just picked clean.
Edina, Richfield, places
Picked
like that
Yeah.
are going to be...
For an example, yes.
Yeah, like that one is going to be fun.
Well,
one's
it's-
going to be funny.
Yeah, But
even if I get run over, Bubs, and trampled,
mm-hmm.
there'll be a couple days where I'll get trampled a few days after.
Yeah.
That happened to those guys.
Yeah.
And I'll at least have a good laugh on my way out.
Well,
the
you
door.
got, you know, from looking at your place, and I've inspected it, most of your 360 is open fields of fire, so you should be good.
Yeah. And
but, you know, that's an extreme example, but it'll just be a slow erosion. Maybe there'll be a tipping point economically or something that'll drive people to, like, hey, holy shit, we need to buckle down. Think of the pandemic, March of 2020. My birthday celebration when I turned 50 was the last day everybody was out. The next Monday, that was a Saturday, and on that Monday, everything locked down. And think about that. People didn't go to work. I was driving to work. I was going to work, and I could drive 90 miles an hour. There wasn't a fucker on the road.
there was like a couple of weeks where it was like that.
That was like a couple months, dude. And walking around downtown Minneapolis in the skyways, it was bums.
No. Places like Minneapolis are already gone. They're gone.
No, I disagree.
Well, let me finish by just saying, when I say gone, I mean it's one disaster away, one sort of incident.
Like a bridge collapse?
Maybe that they might be able to sort of survive something like that, but any sort of like hot button political thing, the police are forced to shoot and kill someone who looks a certain way, and the policeman or policewoman looks this way, and you know what? Here we are again. It's 2020 all over again. The police that are still operating in that city and trying to keep people safe and clean, they're now forced by their leaders to sort of take up arms and do things that maybe they're not comfortable with. Maybe they've seen this happen before and seen it fail. How many times can you force those people to go back into the fold? I'm not really sure, but I think in a place like Minneapolis, it's probably one more time. If it happens again in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm guessing people just throw down their fucking bag and uniform and walk.
Maybe. But they got mortgages, and they do.
They do, but when their personal safety is completely put at risk, and the people that sign their checks hate them, and they already know that.
It's kind of funny though that they work. Any Democratic-run city across the country with these extreme ideologies, and the police forces that work within these cities work for them. But if you individually speak with these officers, probably 90%, 80% are not.
Yeah.
They don't
maybe
have
even more, yeah.
that political view. I mean, there's probably a few that do,
but they have a mortgage.
But they have a mortgage, and they need health insurance, and they got kids, and then they have goals, and they have their ideas, and they got their vacations, and they were trying to get the good life.
And they're
get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of these places, Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis, Chicago, they lost a great number of police officers, you know, over the last few years. And if that happens again, I think they lose them again. You know, but how many times can you keep losing them before people finally say, this isn't worth it, no matter how much you pay me? You're just going to fucking put me in prison, or I'm going to die.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are you going to die for?
Well, it's a pillar of society.
Saving the Target headquarters from burning down? You're going to die for that?
No. It's
die for some homo CEO, you know, who makes $19 million a year by choosing which...
He should hire his own private security death squad.
He has his own private security death squad.
Well, then he's
somewhere.
on his own.
Those guys will probably drop their fucking, you know, guns at some point and say, this ain't worth it either for me too.
No.
You know, yeah, I'm making $90,000 a year protecting your dumb ass, but people are trying to kill you now.
Mm-hmm. Blow your ass up.
There's only 4 of us. We're surrounding you like some sort of phalanx, and there's 4,000 angry people who never thought they would be this angry.
Why are you going after Target?
I hate the company.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, it used to be a great store. They used to sell guns and shit there when I was a kid. Now they sell, like, you know, clothing where, you know, you tuck your dick into it and stuff like that.
Well, their stock's down to like 103 right now.
I hope their
stock
stock
up to 225.
I hope their stock is down to a penny in 10 years.
It might be. Things come and go.
And there's a new store that comes out now that is the exact opposite of Target. Yeah, T-Bags.
Targetto.
Come on in. Buy this steak. Here's your complimentary 38 snub nose on the way out the door. And
don't forget to pack some full force condoms.
Yeah.
For when
check
full
out the
force
display.
Is needed. Today's episode is brought to you by Ass Paddle Brewery, Located on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River in the St. Cloud area, Ass Paddle Brewing. Discipline in a bottle. Try an Ass Paddle Ale. Ass Paddle Brewing. It's discipline in a bottle.
Well, thank you so much for that lovely, lovely, informative word from our sponsor there. Those guys are fantastic. So,
have you been able to utilize them?
Yeah, I haven't utilized the prophylactics yet, but have imbibed lightly on some of the beers, and fantastic company, fantastic beverage.
Yeah.
Great for when you need to cool off after a long, hot session of arguing about government tyranny and the complete lack of privacy in your life. An Ass Paddle beer goes great with that, in my opinion.
Wouldn't you have to say that the lack of privacy is also impeding on one man's liberty?
1,000% yes.
Right? So eventually, hopefully, the citizenry realize that I've given up liberty. We gave up liberty for safety in 2020 and into 21 because we all want to be safe, right? You listen to anything, do your part, be safe.
Maybe it's time for a little more liberty in our life now. We've got enough safety. I'd like some of my liberty back. And then when you ask for it back, they say no. Well, at that point,
civil disobedience.
Civil disobedience, but organizing. Yeah. And the more people you have on your side to organize, the more like-minded folks you have who are saying, hey, I'm sick of it too, the better your odds are of accomplishing your goal. And Bubs is 100% right here. Step one, civil disobedience. We've got a lot of disobedient people that love listening to the Bubs and T-Bag show, which is good.
Well, you need a lot of motherfuckers out there that say, fuck it. Fuck the system, right? Fuck the system that's in power right now.
We got a few of those guys here.
Yeah.
We like them.
I think we're all in agreement with it's too much.
At this point it is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the next step is civil disobedience. The next time that Timmy and Peggy point their fat fucking fingers in your face and say, give me some more of that money.
You mean that $18 billion surplus that they just blew through?
There'll be a deficit in the next one.
Well, they can't sustain it.
It's gone.
But they'll have to tax us.
They are.
Yeah. And maybe some people will get together and have a rally.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe
and have multiple rallies.
Maybe it'll start right here in this basement, Bubs, or maybe at one of the local beer halls. And
make sure your tax paperwork's in order going 7 years back.
They're simply taking too much money from us. They're being tyrannical. We have no privacy left, and they're using that against us. I'm sick of it. You're sick of it. Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. Either disconnect, live in a parallel society, or rise up in a civil disobedience way.
Tune in, turn on, drop out.
You could do that. Fuck the system. I prefer that.
Yeah.
Some exploited.
I'm looking forward to the next few years,
Fuck
Bubs.
the system.
Could be interesting.
It could be, but I think it's just going to, unfortunately, human nature is going to take the easiest route.
It's going to flow like water.
Yeah, give me convenience. I'll take it. Right? That's what people want. Convenience.
It is, yeah. Convenience is nice sometimes. Like, man, it's nice when you want to go, hey, you know what? I just thought of that TV show I hadn't seen in a while, and boy, I'd like to pull it up again. And you can do it at your fingertips and watch it right on your...
What? You can watch
right
Sopranos.
Right on your naked lady giver here.
Yeah,
Sopranos. Your cell phone.
Right? One of the last great shows.
Totally agree, and I was recently watching... When was the last time you watched some of that?
My wife and I plowed through it when we had HBO for free, and then we ended up getting sucked into the Sopranos, and then for probably a 2-year period, paid for HBO so we could plow through the, 6 or 7 seasons? 9?
Yeah, basically 7.
Yeah, so we did that. And that's the last time I've watched it. I've watched...
Was that a few years ago?
Yeah, no, 5-7 years ago.
Okay. If you need an HBO account, I do actually have one of those that I pay for.
Yeah.
Now they call it
Max.
They call it Max. Yeah.
Max.
Order up for Bubs on Max.
1-800 Lava Links. Back pages.
Bubs, your order of Studio 54 is up. That you like that movie, I'm guessing. And what's a series that you probably loved watching? There was one.
I did get sucked in reluctantly to the Game of Thrones. I'm not a big Middle Earth type person. And somehow I got into, people kept telling us, watch it. And we watched it and enjoyed it. And then the last season, the final finale,
fell apart.
Really fell apart. It's like, what did they just bring in some JV writers?
They
didn't know how to do it.
Well, they lost all of George R.R. Martin's source material. He ran out of. He didn't know. You know, he hadn't wrapped up the story yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they wrapped it up in a weird way, but
it was almost like. Yeah, I totally agree.
But the characters were interesting, and you got to love incest.
They were. I used to talk at great length with number one Gary about this series and his wife. He kept me going with Game of Thrones. I started watching it upon release, I remember in 2009. And same as you, I didn't have a whole lot of, I guess, open-mindedness to the
Middle Earth world.
Middle Earth, bullshit.
Dragons.
And hobbits and dragons and,
I was the same way. Wizards.
Fucking ye old crystal ball and
Renaissance Festival.
Boiling in oil, yeah. But I stuck with it, and there were some episodes of that show where there was some of the coolest shit I had ever seen on some of that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and until that last half of the last season, and you're like, what the fuck?
It's so forgettable now.
Yeah,
everything leading up into the last 7 or 8 episodes of that show, maybe 6, were done with such high quality for the most part. There's a couple little moments that were a little bit stinkerish, but not many of them. That last 5 or 6 episodes though. It wasn't that it was necessarily terrible, but
they had a great battle, which was fine.
Yeah, they had a great battle, but it was all shot in darkness.
Yeah.
Which I guarantee was because they wanted to save on computer graphic effects costs.
Okay.
And they tied it up, but they tied it up way too quickly. They tried doing, the tie-up in about 5 episodes when it should have probably been at least another 2 seasons.
I do appreciate that the blonde chick took the dragon and destroyed the parts of the city.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I liked her.
I liked how she was that ruthless.
She was cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could marry
her. And then the midget.
Like that.
The midget was good.
Yeah, he was good. He was one of my favorite parts of the show. There was something about him
Lannister. What was the first name?
Tyrion Lannister was his name in the show. That guy did something where he was like, other people can play dwarves. Or it was something to do with Snow White or something like that. I was like, wow, this guy just pulled the ladder right up from, the other people that look like it was within the last year he said something about this.
For Snow White?
I think so, yeah. He said
dwarves?
that people other than dwarves should be able to play that role.
Manute Bol can play a dwarf.
And if you look, there's a new Snow White movie coming out.
Would you say Snow Mutt?
If you look,
Snow Mutt.
If you look, there's a new Snow White movie coming out. And
is there?
There's 1 or 2 dwarfs in it, and the rest of them are
ogres.
No, they're just black ladies and stuff like that who are playing parts of dwarfs. Snow White's being played by some Mexican girl who hates the old Snow White.
Really?
Yeah, she's the movie is going to bomb so fucking hard, Bubs. I think it comes out next year.
Blanca de Frio.
She's on paper saying how much she hates the story of Snow White.
Oh.
And that she's playing Snow White.
So it's like what we're talking about.
The prince is so patriarchal, that type of thing.
Well, whatever.
Pieces of media like that exist right now because they're allowed to exist. Pieces of media like The Sopranos, for example, exist because they were so good that they sort of hold up against the test of time.
Well, it's because it's real. Well, not reality. It's a fictional story, but what it is a truism to tragedies and comedies going back to the Greeks, right? So these stories are not new of flawed people who are either criminals or bad or good, right? They're flawed. Everybody's flawed. And is it comedic in a sad way, comedic in a funny way? Is it a tragedy, right? Tony Soprano was just a walking tragedy that happened to be kind of funny at points.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Right? He even knew he was flawed. He went to therapy.
He did. I think he was kind of more sort of forced into that a little bit.
Yeah, but he stayed going. He didn't. Tony Soprano wasn't forced to do anything.
By the end of the show, though, they painted him as more or less inherently kind of evil. I think in the last season and a half. Before that, though, they had a problem with that show. The reason was so I've been rewatching the show again kind of recently, and there's one thing that I've sort of noticed where I remember very vividly when that show was still being aired. It was a national phenomenon.
Yeah.
It was the Game of Thrones for like the 2000s. Everyone was watching The Sopranos.
And everybody's talking about Big Pussy and Polly Walnuts. And,
right.
Yeah, it was well written, and it was a good show to watch.
Up until season 5.
Is that with the gays?
No, I think that started in season 6.
Okay.
But up until season 5.
Is that where he was killed or shot or whatever and then went into his own mind?
No, that was in season 6.
Okay.
Up until season 5, Tony had, I don't think the writers necessarily intended this, but it happened anyways. Tony had become kind of this folk hero to a lot of viewers where they knew Tony was bad. They knew Tony killed people. They knew he preyed off people, financially. But they didn't care. They still loved rooting for him. And I think the people that made the show realized at some point, they were like, hey, we need to tell this story, but they kind of need to at least realize that Tony's not all good. And in season 5 is when, in my opinion, they started showing that to a lot of people. Tony starts doing coke, a little bit in season 5. Tony's gambling starts getting out of control in season 5. He's being a lot more of an asshole. He's always been a bit of an asshole towards his wife, but now he's really kind of laying it on. He gets kicked out of the house at the beginning of season 5. By season 6, when he gets shot and whatnot and eventually recovers, he kind of starts at times fucking over some of his old friends pretty even hardcore at that point. There's a time where he ends up borrowing like $250,000 from one of the few guys in the show who was in their inner circle but wasn't. It was Hesh. He's like a Jewish kind of bookmaker type guy who got rich in the recording industry on the backs of, artists that he probably never paid, which is kind of a story. That in and of itself has happened hundreds of times in that industry. That's how he got rich. But at one point, Tony starts preying on him. There's some ambiguity into whether or not he might have had, I think, Hesh's girlfriend / wife killed at the end of one of his shows when Tony finally pays back the money he owes the guy. Lo and behold, his girlfriend winds up dead in bed, wakes up the next morning and she's just DOA. I kind of wonder why they put that in there if Tony hadn't had something to do with it. Because he didn't want to pay the guy. He didn't want to pay Hesh's money back. The one thing I've taken from watching this show now is how much, at least in my opinion, how much more entertaining TV used to be. We were joking earlier about Netflix doing the Abraham Lincoln, biography starring Morgan Freeman.
Well, it sounds like Snow White's doing that.
They're not far off, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In Great Britain, they're making all kinds of TV shows about, royalty and whatnot from the past. And they've just come out and say like, hey, we're going to just have black actors playing, Alexander the Great and things like that because we don't care. These are actors. And in a sense, I get it. They're right. Back in, the Globe Theater when Shakespeare was all the rage, they didn't have women actors. They just had guys dressing up playing women. That's just how they did it. So, thespians are always weirdos anyways. They are, man. Remember every kid in drama class, or like who took drama in high school?
Thespians,
as you call them.
Yes.
They had something going on that the other people didn't have going on upstairs. You know what I mean? They were narcissists. They just couldn't defend themselves against, jock bullies at that time. Nowadays, the jock bullies are actually probably the ones that are getting bullied the most by the gays.
Preyed upon.
Right. It's only once the jock bullies realize that, their purpose in life is to pound the dog shit out of the nonconformists. Only then will you sort of get back to kind of like
some normal,
the natural order of things.
The natural order.
Anyways,
the ones who ride their saddles side saddle, right?
Right.
Yes.
I can't sort of put into words how much fun I've been having kind of rewatching that show periodically, an episode here or there, not really necessarily binging it anymore, but it's probably like the 5th time I've watched the series. And I could do that series once a year and still be entertained. The writing in there is so good. The comic timing with some of the lines is just amazing. The violence, top notch in my book.
Top notch violence.
Some of the Sopranos, gun scenes and violent scenes are very inventive. Yeah. Not only that, they do a lot of swearing.
There's boobs.
Yeah, and they're
bada
swearing.
Bing, bada bing.
They say some words, Bubs, that
Oh, yeah.
these days
Can't say.
you're gonna lose some of your privileges.
Well, so you're talking about the
bank account
Sopranos and
privileges.
appreciating the drinking, the smoking, the fornicating, the true to life, in a way, a reflection of how people live, right? The dirtiness of life. Remove the mob part of it, but just people struggle through life. They're greedy, right?
And they have day-to-day family problems like everyone else, whether they're rich or poor.
Yeah. So it's just the ugliness of life, and it's told in a great story, right? The tragedy of Tony and his mob life.
Do you think he died at the end?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I 100% think that that's not even up for like
Because he even talked about fading to black.
Fading to black, and also there was a line somewhere like in a couple episodes prior to that about how, I bet you don't even see it coming.
Yeah.
Or something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, he knows. He was killing people.
I remember when that episode aired, though, of watching it live, and a lot of people, myself included, thinking for a second, hey, my TV just went out. For real.
Really?
Yeah.
And I just thought fade to black.
I remember thinking that, because it was this like smash cut to black, and the Journey song that was playing in the background just cuts off all of a sudden when they say don't stop.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people going, wait a minute, what happened to him? Myself included. I didn't think he was dead for probably maybe even a couple of years.
No, shit.
I think he got it right in the back of the head from the guy who walked into the bathroom wearing the members only jacket.
Probably.
Just like in The Godfather.
Yeah.
What a great series, man.
Well, what I think then we should even start looking, maybe, we talked about some horror movies, 70s, 80s, 90s, we picked a few. Maybe even take a movie back to the good old days of like maybe Casablanca.
Ooh.
You want to see some smoking, some drinking, maybe a historical chick or a hysterical chick that gets hysterical slapped, right? What's wrong with you? Some of those movies though are very well written, and it's dialogue oriented. It's not a bunch of bullshit action and fast cars. It's dialogue.
For purposes of the show, I'll definitely do it. That stuff is a little bit, I think, generationally, it may have missed me a little bit. Anything black and white is a little difficult for me.
See, for me, it's not, because I grew up, first of all, we had a black and white TV until I was probably 11. And then to me, the 50s are something that was in my life, right? Because my parents graduated from high school in the 50s. So all of that stuff from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s is stuff that was iconic to me.
It was still in a part of pop culture.
It was, yeah. And then you had those actors still around showing up on the Tonight Show, right?
Yes.
So their body of work, Lucille Ball is a show that I watched all the time.
I remember watching reruns of that with my parents, not really enjoying it, but
really,
there were a couple episodes that I thought were remotely funny, but for the most part, I didn't get much enjoyment out of it.
Okay.
If you want to do one like that, Casablanca, Citizen Kane, something like that, I'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do something.
We still do have a little over a month here of the commercialized Halloween nightmare that is now descending upon us.
Yes.
That we spoke about earlier.
What are you going as?
I'm going to have to choose my costume carefully because I want to offend, but I also want to entertain. And, maybe get a few free drinks in the process. Okay. Realistically, I most likely won't dress up as anything because
You'll just stay home.
Yeah.
Or maybe. Work. You probably have to work. It's probably a big night.
Yeah, could be.
Big tip night. Better
could
get in
be.
there.
Yeah. Slanging that cardboard crack, baby.
What I would recommend is that you wear shorts, a Hawaiian shirt, and then find a large rubbery penis to hang out just the side of your shorts.
Just the tip?
Just the tip. Just kind of hangs there. You kind of get a glance that you're not sure.
What the hell was that I just saw? Did I really just see that?
That's always a good Halloween one.
It's a man holding a 16-ounce can of Old Milwaukee that appeared to have something dangling.
That's perfect.
From his Ocean Pacifics.
Do that. Your jams.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, it works. I've seen it done.
Big up to all those people out there who remember what Ocean Pacific was. It was a great brand in the early 90s, I think, that sold surfwear to people who didn't surf.
Well, even in the 80s, it was around.
Was it?
Did you remember the Jams shorts?
Yeah, I had a couple.
Long
I got the real long
Big
ones.
Cat had a pair.
Colorful ones.
I think they might have been pink and teal or something.
I bet he pulled them off, too.
Oh, he could.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He could.
Tall glass of water like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Handsome devil.
He's got calves the size of people's thighs.
He does, man.
Yeah.
I had a pair of those, but I got them when I was in like second grade.
Okay.
You know, I was.
Yeah.
That's how old I was when they were hot.
Yeah.
You know, so you guys were probably in high school.
Yeah. I remember them from college. So.
Were people actually wearing those like as young co-eds type?
Sure.
They were. It was a real thing.
Yeah,
huh?
it was a real thing.
What about Zubas?
Well, I loved them.
Yeah, you were a Zubas guy, weren't
Fuck
you?
yeah, I worked out at a gym. I wore Zubas. It's nothing better.
Did you ever go? So okay, let me.
The Road Warriors brought the Zubas.
Right. From a kid's perspective, though, Zubas were a thing that were around when I was like junior high, middle school.
I was 15 when they showed up. 16.
Okay, let me ask you this: when I was in junior high and middle school, and Zubas were a thing, they were hard to find. You could occasionally find a pair of real Zubas that had like the little tag on like it was like a little tag in the zipper area, even though there was no zipper on Zubas. And it would have a tag that said Zubas right on it. It was the genuine article. Yep. But
Tiger Stripe.
Right. What a lot of kids were having to do, though, was all you had to do was buy a roll of the type of Zuba cloth material, which was just a very thin sweatpant type material.
And then your mom would make them for you?
And they would sew them.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, whatever.
A lot of kids were doing the fake Zubas.
Yeah.
You know, their mom was sewing them the pants. And,
fucking posers.
Yeah, right? I don't think my mom ever sewed me any Zubas, but I think I had one or two pairs. But they were never really my thing.
No.
You know, but they were were you wearing them for like a decade?
No, not a decade, but there was probably a 5-year period where I appreciated a Zuba. Probably from, 85 to 90.
You got 5 years out of the Zuba look, huh?
Oh, why not? It was comfortable.
What else were you going with?
Maybe a half shirt. Ripped up sweatshirt.
Body glove?
No, I don't know what that is.
Vornay France.
What? I don't know what you're talking
You don't know what that one is?
No.
It was like some sort of sunglasses company or something.
Oh, all right. No.
What about Oakley's?
No, probably like Ray-Bans or something. Nothing expensive. I had some what I used to like to wear was the douchebag white sunglasses.
The Ray-Ban white one, the white rims.
Well, or cheap ones. Just fucking douche. You see somebody wearing white sunglasses with spiked hair and remnants of a mullet or a shaved head.
An interaction is about to occur and it's about to be negative.
It will be negative. You want to get in a fight, wear white sunglasses and act like a douche. That's what I was good at.
I believe you.
Yeah, why not? I'm wearing an ascot right now.
I believe you wholeheartedly, buddy.
Yeah. White sunglasses. Douchebags.
You going as anything for Halloween?
No, I don't go as anything.
Well, let's say like you and...
I got invited to a Halloween party.
Say you and Mama had a party.
A Halloween party?
Yep.
I'd go as a tranny.
Right now you would go as a transsexual?
I'd have big-ass titties that squeak because you put dog toys in them.
Yeah.
So everybody grabs your tits.
Would you try to go as a passing transsexual, as they call it nowadays, where you really honestly believe you're a woman, or would you just go as a cross-dressing transvestite?
No, I would have probably a 4-day beard, and just talk to everybody like this. My name's Paulina.
Maybe wearing a one-piece swimsuit like you're on a women's swim team?
No, probably, some sort of skirt with a penis hanging out.
Just half an axe handle hanging right off?
Yeah, you got to get the long-ass penis hanging out by your knees.
Yeah.
Squeaky tits.
I could use one.
And then some bad smeared lipstick.
And then a dress an ill-fitting dress of some sort.
Yeah, and then I would welcome people into my house.
That costume sounds stunning and brave.
It is. I am.
To me.
Yeah, stunning and brave.
Right.
Or I would just go as maybe... I got invited to I had a colleague, a coworker that had a pretty good Halloween party. And I went to it.
I remember that guy.
Yeah. And I didn't have a costume, and I grabbed some Harry Potter glasses that some kid had. It wasn't even one of my kids. And I took them and wore it. That was my costume. That was the last time I think I got dressed up for anything.
Harry Potter.
Glasses. Just the glasses.
Just glasses.
Just the glasses.
You went as a guy in glasses?
Basically, Harry Potter glasses, yeah.
Well, that
when you get older, it's a little tougher. I don't remember the last.
Took a lot of originality there. But.
I don't remember the last time. I think I had a clown mask. I have an evil clown mask that I'll throw on once in a while to try to scare the shit out of little kids in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
But we don't have as many trick-or-treaters as we
What if you just went as a wrestler?
I could.
Yeah.
I have a singlet. Well, I had a singlet.
I bet eventually neighborhoods won't have any trick-or-treaters because A, it's going to be too expensive to own a house, and B, it'll be way too expensive to own children.
Well, you can rent to sell one.
Yeah, I guess. But then you could have trick-or-treating, for adults, which is probably what it's going to descend into since a lot of
my
these
trick-or-treating, I was probably dealing with issues, was I would go with the kids, and they were young, like, let's say a 6, or, 7, 6, and 3-year-old, right? 3-year-old's not going far. And in those years, it would be like fucking 30 degrees. So they got snowsuits on with their costumes half on them.
Yeah. And it's just not as fun.
No, but back then our neighborhood was filled with kids, and so we would go I would bring 3 or 5 beers, and I would walk 3 beers out, and then make the loop, and then have to drag the young one back or carry him while I drank 2 other beers on the way back to the house.
That's a dad that cares.
It was a dad.
Yeah.
I had my oldest kid. This is kind of a funny Halloween story, and I love this one. Is that he had a Darth Vader mask, and he could push buttons on the chest thing, and it would make sounds like Darth Vader.
Like Darth Vader sounds?
Yeah, it would be his voice or something. Yeah. And he had those telescopic lightsabers, right?
Nice.
The swords,
yeah.
The lightsabers. And so he had one, and then I can't remember what the middle kid was. But we were out. I think it was just those 2 guys. Maybe I had brought the youngest one back or something, and we were doing another loop through a neighborhood. And there was a guy that was dressed as a stormtrooper that had a sword, a lightsaber, and then challenged my oldest kid. And I'm about 4 houses away, and this is in the middle of the street, and I can see him just he takes his candy bag and hands it to his younger brother, and he extends out his saber and just whoops ass on this guy, like tomahawk chopping this kid. And the kid has no defense against it, holds his lightsaber up just weakly.
He thought this was playtime, huh?
Yeah, he thought it was playtime, but he ended up with the, Darth Vader, Sith Lord or whatever the fuck he is, and the kid just ran through yards to get away from him. And then Grant just casually reaches over and grabs his bag of candy and then just walks towards me. I go, "Hey, what was that all about?" He goes, he wanted Darth Vader. And I could see him when this kid approaches, he's pushing the buttons on the thing, trying to make the voice sound.
Establishing dominance. Yes.
Yeah. And then the lightsaber came out, and then he just rained down blows on this kid. And the kid ran off.
Sent him to an early grave.
Yeah. How dare you, stormtroopers, stand up
I
against Lord Vader.
Realistically, it makes sense. Yeah, a stormtrooper would never be able to handle the real Darth Vader.
And I was probably about 6 beers into that night, so it was very entertaining to me. And it's a memory I'll always cherish.
Made your whole night.
Oh, it made my Halloween.
I wish I could have seen that one, man.
That was phenomenal. And he just rained blows down on this kid. Casually hands the bag of candy to his younger brother. Yeah.
I see you've constructed a new lightsaber.
He just is pushing the buttons and trying to get him to work.
Take my bag of candy while I put this man down. I don't know what that was. It sounded like Alec Baldwin there or something.
I don't know. He almost went back to like
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery in The Rock.
Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
You almost have a Sean Connery mustache.
I try. Yeah. This is
I came across a Sean Connery movie that was horrible. Horrible.
Was he dressed in like a weird outfit with like straps all over it and shit?
No, it was set back in the 1400s, and he was an investigative monk.
That sounds
horrible.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all.
Not Ethan Hawke, who's the other young cat. Christian Slater looks like he's 17 in this movie.
Yuck.
And he's like his little apprentice.
Yeah, I'm going to skip it. Do you remember the name?
No, I watched 8 minutes of it and turned it off.
Really?
Horrible. It wasn't the Highlander.
Yeah. He was in the first.
He was the Spaniard.
Highlander, and then there was Highlander 2, which was really terrible. Called, I think it was Highlander 2: The Quickening, or something like that. Didn't have anything to do with the first movie.
Yeah.
First one was kind of good though.
It was good.
It's
entertaining. It's entertaining. I've seen it a couple times. I'll watch it.
I did do a loose viewing of The Exorcist a couple nights ago. Mm-hmm. Not a detailed one.
I think I have access to it on Netflix.
It's also on Max for free.
Oh.
If you want to watch Max. Yeah, you can get it there. But, man, I got to say, I didn't watch it in depth, but boy, is that movie scary. It really holds up.
Well, it's a sick story of a vulnerable young girl that gets possessed by evil.
The scenes where the demon, if you will, is sort of talking to Father Karras are some of my favorites. Father Karras is he's relatable. I don't know how else to explain it in the movie, but she has a few choice words for Father Karras. And
it's another movie with only a few actors. I was thinking about that when I was painting the other day, was how many movies only have 2 or 3, 4 or 5 characters at the most in them that are good.
You got to have solid actors, though, or otherwise it won't work. And The Exorcist worked in a lot of ways. Ellen Burstyn really playing the sort of over-the-top Hollywood bitch to great effect, and then realizing that even with all her wealth and fame, she's unable to fix her demonically possessed daughter until she allows God in some way, shape, or form into her life, or Christ. Great performances all around, and kind of can't wait to watch it again. But if you have different ideas on anything, I'm more than open to that.
Well, I think maybe Nightmare on Elm Street or Hellraiser or something entertaining from the 80s.
Nightmare on Elm Street 1 has early performance by Johnny Depp.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, which I know is...
Well, you're a closet Johnny Depper.
Yeah, well, you're even more than me.
No, you're a Depper.
I remember you when I walked in on you that one time, and there you were in your Pirates of the Caribbean underoos.
What's his band name? Vampires of something?
I can't remember the name of Johnny Depp's band, but like a lot of, sort of like Hollywood rock star type wannabe dudes with too much money, they always seem to have a band.
Yeah, I got to have a band.
Jared Leto, he has a band, a pretty popular band actually, 30 Seconds to Mars. Like they've been around for like 20 years. Couldn't tell you the name of one song, and not into Jared Leto.
Don't even know who it is.
He's a typical Hollywood a-hole.
Okay, I'll take your word on it.
The one thing I respect him for, though, is he has like a troupe or cult, if you will, of women that are all under the age of 30 that appear to follow him wherever he goes. And for that, I got to say hats off to you, sir.
God bless him.
Yeah, how does that happen? Where did I go wrong?
Learn to play guitar, learn a few licks.
Fuck.
Learn a couple leads.
You're the guitar man.
No, amateur.
Not me. Fantastic show today, Bubs.
We got on a rant.
Well, there's a lot of problems in the world. They need to be solved, and I think...
Well, they need to be addressed and solved. People got to wake up.
Put it this way. By the time we get to episode 50, we're at episode 30 right now. Maybe we can actually make a difference in some small way, shape, or form somewhere or somehow in this once great state of Minnesota that we all used to know and love, and now sort of, fuck it.
Well, just don't join the Marxist Party. Or if you take a lead out of the professor's motif or plan is to join the Marxist Party and then create infighting so they self-destruct.
Take it down from within.
Yeah, that's right.
That's actually what they did to us.
Yes, they did. We should join a local branch.
I'd join Antifa.
We should.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even know what hit them.
I would totally do it, man.
Yeah. Well, Antifa or just the Marxist Democrat Socialist Party in Minnesota.
Yeah, those guys would be nice too.
We could just join them and fuck with them.
It's a great idea.
And
as of right now, I'm voting.
What happened to all the staplers?
I'm DFL. Bubs, as of right now, I am DFL. I am communist.
Yeah, and then just destroy them from within with their own fucking propaganda.
Great idea.
Yeah. See
Next,
that?
on episode 31, we're going to touch on
Each
the very
other?
early...
Why are we going to touch?
Whoa.
Hey.
Okay, yes, we can do that. But also, let's touch on, how we're going to take things down from within. Great idea.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, well, voting's out, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, we got to get on those DFL trusted things to go help with the voting.
Starting to fight dirty, that's a great idea. And I think I'm going to do it, from the only way I know how, which is weaseling my way in and then farting loudly at the party and having everyone else leave.
I'm just going to steal their shit from their offices.
What do you eat? What are you munching on there, buddy?
Well, you got some chicken McNuggets in front of a fat kid.
You going with the hot mustard or with the sweet and sour?
I'm going nude.
No kidding, huh?
Just dry like I like it.
Nothing good. There's nothing like a McNugget, though, is there?
I'd rather have a Big Mac.
That process.
I might have a Big Mac on the way home. God, I drive by that thing.
Pink slime flavor. Once we get Old Milwaukee to sign off on the show, maybe someday we can get just a chicken McNugget, type of advertising in there too. I don't know that McDonald's would be truly sympathetic to entertainment brand that prides themselves on trying to take down governments from within, but you never know.
I'm sure they're down in El Salvador selling stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
El Salvador recently built one of the largest prisons in the world for violent gang members.
Kind of ironic since back in the 80s they were slaughtering priests and nuns.
I think it's El Salvador that did it. I may be wrong, but you can see pictures of this prison, and it is a sight. And, ooh, boy, would I love
and now
to see
is
that
that
come to our...
the originations of MS-13 through the revolutions and all the infighting that they had back in the day, 70s and
they're
80s?
finally saying, fuck it.
Okay,
And,
so they reached a point.
Yeah, these guys are like living on steel bunks with like, maybe a sheet.
What I'm amazed at, and this is just me, is that they're still alive. Why are they keeping them alive?
I think a lot of them are probably going to die in prison under these conditions.
But why? Why? Just to send a message? El Salvador is notorious for just disappearing people.
There are tens of thousands of these guys. One of the prisons is meant to house, I think, over 10,000 people.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So you're saying they're concentrated in an area?
Yeah, they've taken them, sort of concentrated them, and almost put them in like a camp setting.
And they set them apart from normal people.
Right. Nothing ever bad would happen there.
No.
Right.
Well, hopefully they're all guilty.
Almost brings a tear to my eye. And like like the great Norm Macdonald once said, you ever notice when you read in these history books, the good guys always win?
Yeah.
And he's right.
It is. America.
The sort of lesson to take from that is that if you control the pen and you control the book, you can write whatever the fuck you want in it.
That's right.
And if you say it and read it enough times, people will eventually believe it. Ugh. The truth always will set you free, though, Bubs, and let's hope it does sooner rather than later, buddy, because I'm sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
This has been an interesting show.
It's been a great one. We didn't really have a movie to talk about today, but...
I'm glad I wore an ascot for it.
Is
it hard to stare at me?
It made your performance.
Or have you gotten used to it?
I love it.
All
I hope you wear it from now on. I love it. Keep it up. And everybody tune in for episode 31 coming next time in a few more days. But for now, thank you for listening to episode 30. We will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Bubs and T-Bag Show.
Thank you. And Bubs is out.